It's amazing to reflect on Bernie Sanders' campaign, and I just wanted to run through a couple of numbers here from a fundraising perspective. $236 million was raised from 2.8 million donors. 2.8 million donors. That isn't too far off the population of New Zealand, and it would be a bizarre thing to think of everyone in New Zealand handing in a donation. But I wondered if you could take us back to the very start of the campaign, because surely you cannot have expected that sort of response.
Well, it was really going to be clear that Bernie Sanders had something special going on within the first 24 hours of announcing that he was running for president. He did so in what's called the Senate Swamp, which is just a grove of trees outside the U.S. Senate. In those 24 hours, supporters donated more than $1 million to him.
Wow.
And that's something that showed that there was something going on, and he was carrying a special message that people wanted to be a part of.
It's interesting, though, because he wasn't a particularly well-known politician. I actually remember that exact day. I remember when he announced. I remember looking for Bernie Sanders on Twitter and realising that I had more Twitter followers than a guy who was running for president, which seemed kind of extraordinary. What was it, do you think, cut through from Bernie Sanders and connected with his supporters?
The main thing that I would say that made Bernie Sanders successful, not just in online fundraising, but for his total campaign, was that he asked people to build the campaign with him. From the very start, he said that we will be outspent. We need to build a political revolution that will help inspire people who have been shut out of the political process. And what I think the key thing is that he did was he said he cannot do it alone. If a 74-year-old cranky socialist from Vermont was going to be president, he needed people backing him, and people felt inspired to be a part of that.
And the thing that was different about the way Bernie Sanders raised money is he did most of it from very small donations, unlike Hillary Clinton, who went to big donors.
That's right. There were only about 10 fundraising events during the entire campaign. Of the $235 million that was raised for Bernie's campaign, 94% of that, or $218 million, was donated online. That is pretty unprecedented for any political campaign, especially at that scale. And the important thing was that in the end, despite all expectations, Bernie Sanders raised more money than Hillary Clinton during the primary. Average contribution was just $27. I think more impressive than 2.8 million donors. It was 8.5 million contributions.
Wow.
People just didn't donate.
Yeah.
They donated again and again.
Do you think more money would have changed the result?
I think it's possible that more money early on could have changed the results. The fact is that we were in an uphill battle from day one.
Yeah.
What was critical to the success, no matter what, was that there were millions and millions and millions of people who wanted to see Bernie Sanders president, but also wanted to be a part of the movement that would help make that happen.
So was that the key, you think? Bernie Sanders was the key rather than anything particularly innovative on the fundraising front?
I think that Bernie Sanders' message is something that helped make him as successful as he was. I don't think it is Bernie Sanders himself.
Right.
I think that if there are candidates for president or anyone else who wants to challenge Donald Trump in 2020, there is a very strong case for them to make similar investments in taking on big money and rejecting super PACs and unlimited donations from billionaires. And if they do that same thing and ask people to join with them, they will be as successful as Bernie was.